Hi, I'm Bibi Link Builder, and this is SEO in 2024.
Bibi, what's your number one SEO tip for 2024?
So my number one tip is to try to make your copywriting human first. So a lot of people are using AI, right? And trying to have it pass through AI detectors and all that stuff. But I know that a lot of language models, they are based on a lot of copy and they overuse phrases that were already overused, right? So it's very easy to start detecting what's written by AI and not necessarily by AI detectors, but by humans themselves. So I think it's really important if you want to have a unique brand voice or something, something that stands out, to still invest in creativity, whether that's in a really good editor that edits the AI stuff, or in an actual really good copywriter.
Is it not possible to prompt AI so that it comes up with a certain brand voice, a certain type of personality that doesn't necessarily use the phraseology that you're talking about?
Yeah, it is. So you can, if you like a specific writer, so I like Samantha Irby, she's one of my favorite copywriters, or actually she writes books as well. So you can ask AI to prompt it to write in a style of that copywriter. The problem is that once it gets into more long form content, all those phrases and all those structures still start to creep in. So I'm pretty sure there is a way to use AI in that way. But I think a lot of blogs and websites out there are going to use AI very blindly. And all those things are going to pass through, and then it's going to be very easy to detect. And I think humans are going to get tired of that as well.
Now, obviously, you're not a lawyer, but what do you think about the legalities or the appropriateness of an AI copying a popular writer's style? And what do you think the writer would feel about it?
Yeah, so if I was a writer and I saw everybody writing in my style, I think it would suck. But at the same time, I think it's also part of, in a way, of human evolution and also of creative evolution, that people learn first by copying the masters and then trying to give it their own twist. And I think as a writer, you probably should trust that your creativity is really hard to be copied. So eventually, as you're evolving, all the people that are stuck in the mediocre level, the only thing they can do is make a watered down version of you. So if I was a writer, I would sue the AI because I want to know what they trained on. They are using your copy without permission. But at the same time, it's also unstoppable. So I wouldn't be too anxious about it that you're going to be overruled or something by other people using the AI in your voice.
It's tough because it's a rapidly evolving area, and obviously you want to make sure that you stay on top of things and that you compete with your competitors on a level playing field, but at the same time you're trying to do the right thing as well. Your phrase that you used, human first copywriting, what does that mean in terms of you actually using AI? I mean, do you not use AI? Do you get the human to produce a first draft and then use AI to improve it? Do you use AI as part of your creative process?
Yeah, I use AI all the time, but I don't lose my creativity and critical thinking. So I always apply that as an actual layer on top of working with AI. But I do use it as a bouncing partner as well for ideas or anything else, because AI is sitting on a huge mountain of knowledge, right? So I think I would be stupid if I didn't use it. So I do use it.
Okay, so let's try and break the process down a little bit in terms of optimum way to do it and to keep that human involvement, but also make it as effective, as efficient as possible. So you'd maybe come up with an initial idea, and then you'd use AI to embellish the idea and come up with a few subtopics. Is that what you do to begin with?
No, it actually depends on the situation. Sometimes I even, I don't have an idea yet, and I just start talking to the AI. It's more like a conversational partner, right? So sometimes I don't have an idea and I say, hey, what kind of stuff would people be interested in if they liked taxi drivers or something like that? And then they just come up with those ideas, and then we go back and forth, So it's more conversation.
Got you, got you. So in terms of ideas, what are you looking for? I mean, what does the final piece look like? Is it a certain number of words? Is it a certain style? And what do you need as an initial basic template in order to get to that stage?
Yeah, so I don't use AI for long form stuff. I still use human writers, but I do use AI for email copy, so for my outreach emails, right? And when you have an email, it consists of certain elements. So you have an intro, a segue, a subject line, and all those things. And an intro can come from different types of ideas. So, for instance, an intro can come from a trend that's going on in a specific niche. So I'll ask Bing for what are the trends right now for popcorn or something like that, right? And then I'll use that for the intro. But an intro can also be a different type of thing. It can be a shower thought. So maybe I'll ask Bing or Bard or something to come up with shower thoughts around electric cars. And it's a really cool thing because the shower thoughts are usually very good. So I have the elements, and then so for instance the intro, and there are all these different methods to make an intro interesting. And I'll just talk to AI and ask him, hey, can you create jokes about this or shower thoughts about this or deep question or something like that, and then just go back and forth. And that's how I build the template up.
And you say that you use human writers as well after that. So how are you completely confident that your human writers aren't using AI? And would that concern you? Do you check what they produce against some AI content checker?
Yeah, so I use a writer agency. So that's for guest posts, right? That we write for the client's link building. And I've worked with them for years. I know that the owner, she's not a huge fan of AI. She does use it sometimes, but she doesn't use it for the articles. And of course, you never know, right? But I trust her, so I know that she's not letting her writers use a one-click AI writer. They might use it for parts of a copy or something, or to come up with ideas or anything like that, but not just like producing it in one go with the AI writer. So I trust them.
Okay, but you want to actually take her content and then put it into a service like originality.ai to try and determine if it has actually had significant AI involvement.
If I do that?
Yeah, you wouldn't do that, would you?
No, I don't do that because I trust them. So I'm not doing that. And also, I think AI detectors, they work for a couple of weeks and then they stop working because the AI is evolving so fast. But I think you could still do it. I think in the end, you just have to be able to recognize good copy, you know? And a writer, an average writer can also produce a crap piece of content. So if you use your critical thinking and, we do have an editor within the company and they do the last proofing of all the articles. And sometimes, a human writer can also suck. So
it's a good way to think about it because at the end of the day, Google were saying, use AI content if you want, but just make sure it's great for the user. Just make sure that people consume it and they enjoy consuming it.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure that maybe in the future AI might actually start producing better content, but it's not there yet.
So if you're using AI for part of the process, or in the ideation phase, or perhaps actually just to do a final review of what you've actually produced, obviously it can alter what you're saying or how you say it. Do you define an individual brand voice when you create articles? I guess this could be either when you're having your articles produced manually or articles produced by AI. How do you go about ensuring that the voice is consistent and appropriate for the client that you have in mind?
Yeah, so it's more because I do a lot of guest post pitching. It's more about the prospect where the guest post is going to be published than for the clients. So the writers that we use, they always check what kind of style or voice the prospect side is using. And that's nothing new. You can prompt AI to write in a specific tone of voice or style. But as far as I know, like I told you, that those writers are not using AI.
Do you have any sense of trends in terms of the type of content that your clients are preferring at the moment? I mean, for instance, do they want you to embed and incorporate audio or video content alongside your written content? And do they want to embellish your written content with things like quotes or other elements?
Yeah. So there are two different types of content. One is for the client themselves, so like a linkable asset that can attract passive links and is easy to build links to. And the other type are guest posts, which are published on other people's sites. So when we talk about guest posts, it's usually very simple. People are okay with just plain text articles, and then they add their own stuff to it. For clients, well, one of the things that works really well, so it's more like dictated by me, is stats and trends pieces. Those are really easy to build links to and can attract a lot of passive links every year. But that's more because I come up with that idea, right? And then they do have some visuals or something, but nothing really fancy.
Okay, I love the phrase linkable assets because you're creating something for the long term there that hopefully will build up links over the long term as well. And you're saying stats and trends is something that you'll try and incorporate there. So why are you going down that route, and how do you go about deciding on the particular stats that you want to actually focus on in the article?
Yeah, so I use Ahrefs for a lot of content ideation for linkable assets, and then in particular the Content Explorer. So when I do research, I kind of reverse engineer on the type of question that people have and not so necessarily on the topic. And then I look at the results and see if it's applicable for the client's audience, or if it's something that I could translate to the client's audience. So for instance, when you go to the Content Explorer and you type in how many, so you don't type in any topic, but just how many. And then you start filtering on, how many backlinks is it getting, or how many page traffic, or how many Pinterest shares or something like that. Then stuff starts popping up, and there you can see which topic are people looking for the most, or are people linking to the most, that has to do with something countable. And that's usually a statistic or a data or a fact or whatever however you want to call it. And that gives me an idea for a stats and trends piece. And there I combine all those different things together. And then the cool thing is that once it starts picking up links, of course, I do some link building for it, or maybe the client boosts it with some ads or something. Once it starts picking up links, you start to see that usually when you have a stats piece or a trends piece or a combination, it has like 30 data points in there, right? That the people that are linking to it, they usually only concentrate on 3 of those data points. And that gives you a lot of insights on what people find most interesting. The other thing you can often see is that it's very often has to do with money. So how many dollars in a specific niche. People are really interested in it. And it was something I was already doing, but I got really inspired by Stacey McNaught. And she has a couple of times has spoken about, how to use these stats pieces as linkable assets. So I would definitely look her up because she has some great ideas on that too.
Brilliant, yeah, and Stacey's been on the Majestic podcast before in the past as well. Great insight, as you say, that she offers. I just want to follow up on your process just a little bit more. So it's a great way of certainly defining the particular topic or the stats that you should be selecting. The next step after that, I mean, do you tend to search the phrase that you're thinking of writing about and then look at the results on the SERP to see what else exists on there? And then if so, what would be your process to do that?
Yeah, so I would start to look into which keywords you have for that phrase, variations, all that stuff. And then for every keyword, who's ranking on it. And that becomes part of the brief, so that the writers that I use, they do their own research, right? But I can just give them all these examples and inspiration and sources, and then they start building the whole piece together.
If an SEO is struggling for time, what should they stop doing right now so they can spend more time doing what you suggest in 2024?
Yeah, so the one thing that has helped me is a little bit different, and it has to do with actually working in my own schedule that works for me, because I can't concentrate for so long, and also sitting for long is really unhealthy for me because it hurts my knees and stuff like that. I had to go into physical therapy. So what I do now is that I use a Pomodoro timer thing. I work 25 minutes, then I take a 5-minute moving break. And then every hour I go outside, for 15 minutes I play basketball or something. if it's possible, I only work from 11 till 3, so only 4 hours a day. And the cool thing about that is that I work way more focused and productive than I would do if I worked 8 hours. So everybody has to figure it out for themselves. But I think the whole 9 to 5, 40-hour work week is a construct, you know, from the Industrial Revolution, because they wanted to have kids in school and people in the factories. Right? So I think people should let it go. And also it's really, really unhealthy when you combine it with desk work. I think so many people, if you ask an SEO about their health problems, so many of those health problems are related to spending too much hours behind the screen. So yeah, maybe you should focus more on your health.
Yeah, stop following the construct, stop following what other people tell you what to do in terms of hours, and then find a system that works best for you.
Yeah, I mean, you're standing doing this interview.
Yeah.
And you're doing that for a reason, right? Because it's healthier.
Yeah, I can move about. I don't play basketball while I'm doing it, but I can move about. Maybe golf.
So what do you do? Like how does your work schedule work?
Well, it evolves over time. For this particular project, I do have to interview 100 people or even a touch over 100 people. So it's a lot to do, especially if I want to do that over a number of weeks. I don't want to do an excessive amount so that it impacts the way that I can find questions and listen to people and enjoy what I'm doing. So I try and do a maximum of 4 a day. But the way that I structure this particular series is that I interview one person every 45 minutes for either morning or afternoon, and then sometimes a couple in the evening as well. So I think it's important not to let other people dictate your schedule, and you need to find a way that other people can book times that work for both you and them.
Yeah, that's really good. It's all, nothing is set in stone. So just make it clay and mold it to your own needs.
Bibi Raven is head chicken at Bibi Buzz, and you can find her over at bbuzz.com. Bibi, thanks so much for being part of SEO in 2024.
Thank you so much. And see you next year.
I've been your host, David Bain. Get your copy of SEO in 2024, the book, over at SEOin2024.com.